those governments or those psychopaths are doing is separating you by feeding you wrong information, by feeding you phony diseases that don't exist, by poisoning you on purpose, by making you sick on purpose, by giving you false medicine, which is our poisons, by putting phony politicians who supposedly care for you. Nobody cares for you. Don't ever trust the politicians. Don't ever trust them.
Understood. Okay. Can we go into Antarctica?
Okay.
Have you been to Antarctica?
Yes.
For what purpose?
Well, I was at the North Pole. I was at the South Pole.
Have you been in the areas that people cannot go to?
Yeah, of course. You're not allowed to be on the very North Pole or South Pole. You can't get in there, according to your government. So yeah, I was there. What is the mission? Most of the work there is under the ground. There's nothing above ground except ice and very cold. And be more specific. What is it you want to know about the North and South Pole?
There are individuals who speak about this idea of inner Earth, hollow Earth, entrances at the North and the South Pole. There are very well-respected individuals like Admiral Richard Byrd in 1954, who's famous for flying over one of the poles and saying, well, wait a second, suddenly I found myself in this lush green landscape when a second ago I was in ice, so there are some people where, because of the no-fly zones and because of the secrecy, they say, no, the Earth is flat. That's why they don't want you to go there. They don't want to see you. They don't want you to see what's beyond the poles. There are other individuals who say, no, there are bases down there. There are underground tunnels. And then there are other individuals who say that there's an Earth that's actually hollow, and it's not magma and lava in the center, but there are actually entrances from the poles. What can you share about that from your experience?
What can I share? Well, there are entrances. I've been there. I went through them. I don't know about green. I never saw green anywhere. But once you go in, it's more of a tunnel than an entrance. We refer to it as the black hole. I know you refer to a black hole as something in space, but for us in TLS, this is the black hole.
Admiral Richard Byrd refers to it as the great unknown.
Well, TLS refers to it as a black hole. One in the north, one in the south. When you go in, it's really dark. It's really black. Eventually you get some light. We had to bring light with us to go in. First time I was in, I was at the North Pole. I don't want to disclose too much information. I personally came with 2 other people. I came unprepared. It wasn't part of a mission the first time. It was more of my curiosity.
Were you allowed to be there?
At that moment, no. I did it without permission. I manipulated my way in. I got hurt. Not too badly, but I got hurt. I trusted the 2 people who came with me to protect me because I knew they knew what they were doing. And I manipulated my way in. There was an entrance on both sides. You could travel from one side to another, but it's not by craft. You could travel by levitation. You could walk. There's water there. There's life there, but not humans. There's life of, I would call it, insects. I didn't see any humans there except down the South Pole, where you actually have bases and you have people there, normal people.
There are people who believe that there are advanced civilizations within the Earth that are settling there, extraterrestrial civilizations. Not saying that they're bad or good or anything from what people believe, but people do believe that there are advanced civilizations down there. Do you know anything about that?
I can tell you through my teachings, again, no, there is no life in there in that form. There are insects there. There's water there. And then there's the core. The core is a very hot place. The core is a center of energy of the globe. Can you get from one side to another? Yes, you could, but there's no life there, such as people living there. There's no such a thing. At the South Pole, there is. But these are bases that were built by humans, and there are soldiers there, scientists, doctors, but no, not what you're talking about.
There's a lot of talks about extraterrestrial life being connected to Antarctica, certain technological developments with anti-gravitational crafts. I know the Nazis and Hitler were famous for having a base back in World War II in Antarctica. Do you know of any connection between extraterrestrial life and Antarctica? And I ask that because there are many intelligent and well-respected pilots that flew over no-fly zones that saw crafts and formations that looked like what we would call a flying saucer moving in ways that doesn't make any sense.
So, as I told you before, the real Fort Knox is over there. That's the reason for the security and the army and the base. They are protecting this area. The so-called American government, if you want to call it American government, and the Russian government are involved. Regarding the E.T.s, they're all over. So of course, they've been to Antarctica. Are they part of this operation? No. But they come and go as they wish. One of the things I can tell you E.T.s are concerned about regarding this planet is the nuclear power. And it can destroy the globe. And the laser technology we talked about before, that can destroy the world if you use it in a negative way. As I told you before, you could take a continent or a country like the USA or Antarctica and demolish it within less than an hour by sending a certain sonic boom, which we spoke about before. There are reports, I'm sure you can read about it on the internet, that E.T.s came to certain American bases and shut the nuclear power down completely for a period of half an hour. I even saw a testimony from one of the admirals at the time. I can tell you that a lot of nukes were dismantled by the E.T.s. Yeah, they do things like this. Of course, your government is not going to tell you about it, but they were dismantled.
Why nuclear weapons specifically?
Because they understand the damage that could be done. Humans can bring, imagine a nuke onto the moon, for example, and they start testing it over there. Imagine bringing it to another planet by humans who just want to test it. People want to test. They screw around with the weather. Why not screw around with the moon? They have the ability to do it. That's a problem. This will affect other planets. It will affect other life. As I said, we're all connected. E.T.s are not your enemy. They are a part of you. They understand it. We don't. That's the reason we perceive them as a threat. They're not a threat. They're here to help. The day will come where we will be one nation.
Speaking about extraterrestrial life, again, I want to emphasize a certain point and speak about it multiple times because it's of major confusion for, I would say, the majority of the viewers watching this interview. There are a lot of people, David Icke, a lot of people that I would say are great in terms of what they do. Maybe they're not right about everything that they speak about, but they're trusted. They have results. They've predicted certain things from way back when. And they all insist that there is evil extraterrestrial life. They call them the reptilians. Now, I'm going to challenge you. Last interview, you said you've been in contact with about 5 or 6 extraterrestrial races, different races. How can you be so sure to say that in the entire universe, there's no such thing as a reptilian or an evil extraterrestrial? Where does that come from that you're so insistent?
Okay, first of all, I happen to know David Icke. I think he is a great man who does a great job. The only lizard, and I know what they're talking about, it does exist, but it exists here. They're not coming on a spaceship from a different planet to destroy Earth. They are here. They might want to destroy Earth, but they're here. They're coming from here.
Are they of a different race?
They are a different type of entity. The fact that they can shapeshift into a lizard, they're not you. You understand? They're not you. They're different from you. Do you want to call it a different race? Yeah, because if I'm white and you're black, we are different races, but we're still human. But if I'm white and you're white and you can shapeshift into a lizard and you're a psychopath about it, yeah, for me, yeah, okay, so you can call it a different race. It's how you want to use the terminology for the specific subject.
So what you're saying is, on a technicality, they're human beings, but we may refer to them as something else because they have other abilities that most human beings may not have.
Correct.
Now, again, if you've only seen a select few and been in contact with a select few races, how can you be so sure to say that there aren't races from other planets coming here to destroy?
Because, as I told you before, through my teachings, and I trust my information, and I trust my teachers, when they tell me something, I take it to the bank. I can't tell you that I've been to every planet and I've seen, and no, absolutely not. I have very, very limited experience with it. What I'm telling you is through my teachings, and I trust my teachers. I'll give you an example. If you want to go to the Bible for a second, in the Bible it says that every fish that has scales must have fins, but there could be a fish that has fins and no scales. The Bible was written 3,000 years ago, and it says that all over the world, wherever you're going to go, if it has scales, it has fins. But if it has fins, it doesn't need to have scales. And believe me, every scientist in the world, everybody tried to improve this theory. Nobody could find the fish. So how did this person, or divine power, or God, whatever you want to call it, when he wrote the Bible 3,000 years ago, how could he have made a claim like this? He's been to every ocean in the world. He's been to every place in the world. That means that there was a knowledge that came in, and you trust this knowledge. But how can they make a claim 3,000 years ago? How did the Jews know then that there could not be a fish with scales without fins? Same thing I'm telling you. I don't have to be all over the world. I got the information. I trust the information, and I stand by it because everything that I was told, everything that I've seen, that I went to check later, came out to be true. I was a big skeptic in the beginning, like everybody else, especially me, and I was proven wrong every time. So I learned to back off, take the information, and move with it.
According to what you've shared specifically in our first interview together, you made sure to emphasize that extraterrestrials that do come here from other planets, their planets are what we would call like a utopian society. They live in a great place of harmony, love, unity. Why would they bother coming all the way here from there to place a planet like Earth with war and poverty and starvation and greed and corruption and everything we're experiencing today?
Well, the simple answer is universal awareness. The second answer, which I'll tell you about soon, is not the Bible, but the Bibles. And I'll explain in a second. Let's talk about universal awareness. Once you get to universal awareness, a true one, with unconditional love, unselfish love, they understand that we are all connected. That means if you are hurting here on Earth, it is affecting them. So it's in their benefit to come in and try to fix things if they can. How do you fix things? Through universal awareness to love, unselfish love, and so forth, as we spoke about before. And this is part of their work. They are very, very spiritual entities. In a way, I don't think you as a regular human comprehend until you actually meet with them, speak to them, study them, learn from them. Only then you can understand the level of spirituality. It's something that a normal person cannot get, unless he's going to get there, and the only way to get there is through unification. Universal awareness. I keep saying that word again, but that's the word for everything. Another thing that they are lacking, that they don't have out there, they have their own issues, like I told you. Sia has a water problem. They have their issues. Everybody has an issue. That's part of life, I guess, for all of us. None of them. And again, I understood by being there and by studying them up close and by learning from my mentor. In one of the visits, if you remember, I told you it was like some type of a funeral. And to me, it seemed as if they're praying, but they were not praying. They crave to get the Bibles, but I'm not saying Bible, I'm saying Bibles in plural. Why Bibles? In our world here on this planet, we were given the Bible, or Bibles, meaning the Bible as we know it, the New Testament, the Quran, the Hindus have. Everybody has their own thing. But if you pay attention, all of them are stemming from the same idea of God, oneness. They're all pitching the same thing. They just have different leaders. And again, it was done in order to separate the masses, separate the population. My God is better than your God, and so forth. That's why we're here in this mess. But those Bibles have codes. Those Bibles have a lot of good knowledge, positive knowledge, and secret knowledge. They are craving for those Bibles. There are religions that stemmed from the days of Atlantis that doesn't exist today. Again, very spiritual continent at the time. Very spiritual people, and they were destroyed due to technology. They were so advanced that they became so impure and got away from spirituality so much that they were destroyed. They destroyed themselves.
Meaning their technology surpassed their level of spirituality.
Exactly. And technology, as good as it is, makes you become less spiritual if you don't know how to control it. That's what's happening here, by the way, today. We are going in the footsteps of Atlantis. They don't want that. They're looking for unification, to be united, and to get a hold of this knowledge. The question was, what's the big deal? They are E.T.s. They can grab the Bible and sit and learn it. It cannot be done this way. It has to be done by reunification, through a self-awareness, through this love that I'm talking about. It will have to be a new religion. It's not new. It's old that will become new again. This is the nirvana I keep talking to you about. The days of the Messiah, if you want to call it. The Jews will call it the Messiah. The Christians will call it the Messiah. I'm calling it nirvana. It's all the same thing. So again, back to your question. Why do they bother with us? Again, one, because they're part of us. Number two, you could say they have everything except the knowledge, the energy, and the codes of the Bibles. By the way, part of what I'm telling you is now in the Book of Rays of Light. The part that you did not read and I refuse to publish for now, for my own reasons. And at certain points, it talks about it. That's part of the teaching that I was given, and it's in writing, basically.